9 to 5, the movie that taught us your stoner fantasies really can come true. Does anyone remember 9 to 5? It is a snapshot of the reality of what women had to face in the late 70s and early 80s. They break out into the corporate world only to be treated like mothers, wives, and servants. And even when they had ideas or something to contribute, they were stolen or ignored because you're a woman. You have 3 women of different origins, different backgrounds, dealing with different things in their lives, all in this corporate world, and all dealing with a sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot in their lives.
At its core, 9 to 5 is a story about 3 women who discover that the same man is using all 3 of them and team up to take him down. You had Lily Tomlin, who was from the business world, Jane Fonda, who was the housewife, and Dolly Parton, who was just seen as eye candy but really had more to offer once you got to know her. Now this whole outline fits perfectly with another movie, and that is The Other Woman. In that movie you have a guy who is cheating on his wife, not just with one woman, but with several, come to find out. And then not just cheating on her, also stealing her ideas to use as his own in the business world. But then you also had Cameron Diaz, who was like a lawyer. She owned her own business, very big in this New York City corporate world. Then you also had Leslie Mann, who was his housewife, who he was, again, stealing her ideas from. And then also Kate Upton, who was Dolly Parton's double. The self-proclaimed tits of the movie, but also bringing more to the table as the movie went on.
Dolly Parton and Kate Upton brought up the group average. Both men in each of the movies believe that the women in their lives are only there to bring them pleasure or to do something for them. Mark and The Other Woman didn't even believe that all of the women could take his money and get him into trouble. He was denying it till the very end, to the point where he almost lost his goddamn mind. And Franklin Hart, another asshole who believes that he can steal money from a company and get away with it. He could not believe that those women were capable of harming him or his money as well. The 3 women in 9 to 5 were even able to take over his position and make everything in the workplace supremely better. Everything is more efficient, and everyone is actually happy. What a concept!
9 to 5 was exactly the movie that it needed to be for the era that it came out in, showcasing obstacles women were facing in the workforce and also calling out corporate America for its actions. But had Lily Tomlin and Dolly Parton been friends with Jane Fonda before she had gotten divorced, they might have been able to team up to help her fight against her skeezy husband in a much better way. You can tell by her interactions with her ex-husband in the beginning of the movie that he definitely just walked all over her in this divorce. Back then she was just a timid housewife and didn't know what else to do and was probably in shock of the whole thing to begin with. But if Lily Tomlin and Dolly Parton had been there for her before the divorce, the movie would have been The Other Woman. It would have been these 3 women from different backgrounds coming together to help their friend fight against this guy who was cheating on her. The Other Woman is essentially the 9 to 5 of our era. It portrays a generation of women who have become stronger from the generations past and what they went through, and it also shows how men are up to their old tricks, almost as if nothing's really changed for them over the past 40 years. There is one thing that I think The Other Woman did better than 9 to 5, and that was the comeuppance of the man in the movie. In 9 to 5, there isn't enough of a vindication at the end. Mr. Hart still ultimately gets credit for everybody else's work. He gets his comeuppance off screen by being sent to Brazil and essentially disappearing. Am I remembering that right? That is a little bit weird. The Other Woman has a fantastic climax, and where you actually get to see Mark being brought down in front of your eyes. All 3 women get to have that final catharsis of saying F you to his face while taking all of his money and destroying his career all in one swoop. But then he adds on top of it by just destroying his nose. And like, he does it to himself. That wasn't planned on their part. That wasn't what they were trying to do. It was just literally the exploding cherry on top. just getting to see him getting torn down at the end was very satisfying. The two movies even ended the same, with the epilogue-style freeze-frame ending of, these are where they're at now, and how their lives have gotten so much better. We really think that The Other Woman is just 9 to 5 of today's era. Obviously, 9 to 5 outshines The Other Woman in the pop culture zeitgeist and will probably live on to be remembered longer than The Other Woman. But it doesn't negate The Other Woman from being a good movie overall, and it's honestly one of our favorite rom-coms. And we hate rom-coms, and maybe that will be what we talk about next.